Welcome to the Hickory Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Vertovec, and I'm here with my lifelong friend, Sharon Anderson Morris. Hi, Sharon.
Hey, Ann, so good to see you.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm also here with my younger co-host, my son, Wil Audley. Hi, Wil.
I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. So we decided to launch the Hickory Podcast, which stands for Hope, Health, and Healing in concert with ourselves and the earth. And the idea is to have a positive podcast by interviewing some of the nation and world's leaders, doers, thinkers regarding both planetary health and human health. And along the way, giving helpful tips to our viewers on how to instill hope, health, and healing for both ourselves and for our earth. So we will talk about some of the future interviews later on, but first I really wanted you to introduce each of us to you. Again, I'm Ann Vertovec. I'm an emergency and integrative physician, and I have added the integrative board certification recently because I have felt in my career that chronic illnesses and chronic pain are becoming more and more prevalent, along with degradation of our earth. And I really wanted to do something more to help these problems than I can do on a one-on-one patient doctor relationship. So I reached out to my dear friend, Sharon Anderson Morris, and she's going to introduce herself.
Thank you, Ann. It's really great to be here after knowing Ann since I was 2 weeks old. We've been BFFs ever since, so it's really fun to be adults and doing something together, and with Wil as well. I'm the CEO of firefilms.org, which is supporting documentaries that are informative to create information and passion for people that want to help change our planet for the better. I was the founder of the Park City and Salt Lake City Speaker Series, where I had the opportunity of interviewing people that are changing our world. And I've been doing that for the last 18 years at the Future in Review conferences that I co-founded with Mark Anderson. And it's really great today, I think, to be here to talk about a totally different aspect that we're going to be dealing with, as Ann said, people that are in the know, that are working really hard to help our climate, to help our species, to see how they can adjust and do what they do, to keep on going, to make a difference in this world. So I'm really glad to be here.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that was awesome, Sharon. So good to hear that, all that. So yeah, Ann Vertovec is my mother, and she, from a very young age, has been teaching me about the environment and in our place within nature. And growing up at school, in elementary school and middle school, my mom always ran like the essentially gardening projects that were around the school. So our classes would go outside, and my mom would orchestrate, whether it be buckthorn picking or something of the sort, to create a more natural environment. And from the very beginning, that has always been instilled in me as well. I've chosen the path of going down to renewable energy. I'm hoping that sustainable energy and renewable energy will provide us humans the ability to work in concert with the environment and nature in a more sustainable way. I'm currently actually at a renewable energy conference in California, international conference with thousands and thousands of industry leaders, and that's kind of the specialization that I'm bringing to this podcast from that angle. But alongside that, I'm excited to be able to show not the other side of these industry leaders. Yes, we understand that these people are doing fantastic things for the environment and for our culture and for our people. but how do they go about that? And what lessons can we learn to emulate portions of their life to also achieve great things? And I think that that's kind of our focus, at least in my mind, of this podcast, and in trying to help others also achieve those great heights in helping the world and the environment. So I'm just happy to be here, and I know this is an inflated market, podcasting, but um, I I wouldn't do it with anybody else. So happy to do it with my mother.
Mhm. Thank you, Will. Well, um, the whole our biggest goal is to make this a positive, hopeful podcast, even in light of the state of the earth and humans today. And I think that we have a lot of ideas to fulfill that uh, hope, as we say. And Will, it's so great to have Will included too, because he brings the next generation of doers that it's so important for us to include in the podcast. So one of the things that we hope to do with each interview is talk about hope, health, and healing for the individual and for the earth. And so with that, I thought we would do a little bit among ourselves about what keeps us hopeful, healthy, or healing. And I can start with how I maintain hope for my own health and for the environment. And the key to me is being out in nature. Will's favorite dog is mine. And at least 5 days a week, we spend a half hour out in the local open lands, enjoying the hickory, which is the hickory trees, which our podcast is named for, and some of the prairies, and trying to be immersed in it, almost like a meditation experience, really being in the moment, looking around, enjoying the splendor of nature, looking for some of the healing that goes on when you give nature a chance, when you stop farming an area and the native plants take over, for example. And that really keeps me going every day. And of course, there's so many health benefits to being out in nature too for the individual. The recent research says 120 minutes a week will out in nature, outdoors, meaning, by trees and plants, not just on a street that's lined with buildings. It really does make a difference to your health, both from a stress, anxiety, depression, cognition, and just overall health, because of course you're out exercising too. So that's what keeps me going. I'm going to go to health next, which is really more like the present tense of what we're interested in, whereas hope is the future and healing is the past. So Will, do you want to talk about some of the things that keep you feeling healthy?
Yeah, absolutely. As a little disclaimer, uh, we've kind of coined our collective mission and ideals to the Triple H. Triple H is the hope, health, and healing, and it um, kind of parallels this idea of past, present, and future. There is some intermixing, but the hope is, the future. It is, what keeps us going, what drives us to keep moving forward and look forward and keep that motivation. The health is more in the present tense. It's what we do on a daily basis, or what we do in the present moment, to sustain that healthiness and that optimism for moving forward. And then the healing is, how we recover from maybe a negative or a positive influence in your life. It's different ways to adjust and react to past events. And I think Sharon will touch on that in a moment. So yeah, like my mom said, um, for health, I will go through kind of what I go through. Personally, I find that routine is what keeps me healthy. I've never really been much of a routine person until my more recent years. And I like to coin it as my formula. And I, talk to one of my friends, and they're tired of hearing me talk about it. But my formula is something that I employ anytime that I'm struggling, maybe mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever it may be, a little bit off. It's a formula that I use to get back to my normal self. And my formula is comprised of routine days. And currently, this is just for me, but currently my routine days are wake up, work, I do my work, I love my work out, eat, read, get a little outside time with sun, and that's it. And if I couple, that routine day, 3 days in a row, I'm back to normal. I'm back to myself and to my healthiest state. And that's kind of what I've been employing. And my routine might adjust, my routine days might adjust slightly here and there, insert a TV show that I'm interested in for the reading, but it's the act of doing those healthy routines for say a couple days in a row. That's what keeps me healthy, and that's what keeps me going um, in my current moment, and that's my formula. And what I would say to anybody listening today is find your formula. Find out what your formula is, what gets you back to normal, and then just repeat it. Repetition of it over and over again, and that will provide you that healthiness that you're looking for.
That's awesome. I mean, right, have it become a habit and find what exercise, what outdoor time works for you,
Whatever it
feels
may be,
right for
it
you.
might be, it might be walking down the street, it might be going to a comedy show. It just pops in my brain. It might be listening to music for an hour, or it might be playing music, or it might be drawing. It might, it's whatever is individualized to yourself. But I would just recommend finding that formula, that is sacred to yourself.
No,
And I think
I,
that, I think that kind of intermixes with a little bit of integrative medicine, as you're a board certified doctor in that regard.
oh, absolutely. I mean, lifestyle is so important to our health and you can't ignore it. Eating right, exercise, having a relaxation time, and nature time. Those are the four proponents that I, in particular, study as an emergency physician for my patients. I think you've experienced like the need of exercise in our household. I think both your father and I get crabby when we need to exercise and we haven't had the opportunity due to time or whatever. And then we come back from, running with the dog and we're like a changed person. Would you
Oh,
agree with
absolutely.
that?
Oh, absolutely. I would say that. Um I definitely agree with that. And exercise is a vital part for my formula as well. And I think that there's definitely a correlation there, being you guys' kids.
And I know, Sharon, you can relate to the same because I know that you take walks on your mountaintop with your dogs to feel
Yeah.
better. But I'm going to let you talk about healing more.
Yeah, Will, I just learned something from Will. We've known each other for quite a while, well, and forever, and Will beautifully recently. And I didn't, the discipline part of that, Will, I think that's really interesting. I think that's critical, and that's something that I really hadn't thought about before. And as far as healing is concerned, as Will said, healing for me is about recovery, and getting back to who I am, getting back to my roots. And when I've been interviewing world changers, these people are usually full of passion for their work, whether it's making a film or whether it's trying to help with climate change or whether it's trying to prevent species extinction. These are really serious, deadly jobs. And most of the people that I've been interviewing are sick, which means that they haven't taken the time for themselves. They put all the passion into what they're doing, and they have cancer or they have all the different kinds of diseases. So, intentionally, when I'm done with that interview, I actually absorb that pain, and I can't deal well with my own life if I keep that in within me because it stays within me. So, as Anne said, and as Will said, and said, I'm fortunate to be able to live in the mountains and with a dog that I love dearly named Simon. And we hike these mountains in any kind of weather, and he always makes me laugh, and I'm always appreciating the beauty. It never the vision is never the same when I look over 5 or 6 mountain ranges. I realize how small I am, and how beautiful and how immense our planet is, and how much it has to offer us. Music to me also really makes a difference. I play the piano and I write music. Um, Music to me takes me into a totally different place, whether I'm playing it, composing, or listening to some of my favorite things. If I know right away that I need to get into a different headspace, I can put on something that I love more than anything and listen to it, and I can change immediately. Calling a friend, I have such a great time talking to Ann on the phone, from when we were little kids together, running around, in the grass, to here we are just a couple of years later, really enjoying our friendship. She keeps me happy and young, and she knows who I am. And, doing the heart touch with my BFF is always a special time for me. And it puts me into a different position mentally. And I think overall, I really try to implement this every single day. I try to help somebody. I know a lot of people that need help, and it doesn't mean that they have to be right in front of me. I can call them. But helping others is a tremendous healing power for helping me help myself. And I do these things in a ritual, as Will was saying. I'm pretty disciplined about each of these, but I do have the go-tos for an immediate fix to get back to trying to recover from something that's stressful, sad, painful. Get into the mountains, music, dog, helping people, calling my
Yeah,
friends.
I think that last point is so interesting. The helping others helps yourself. And I think that there's some sort of stigma that, like, you got to focus on yourself. You got to you got to help yourself before you can help others. But there are certain people, and you're definitely one of them, Sharon, that, in my mind, that thrive off of that. That is what keeps yourself recovered, and it can help yourself heal yourself, is when you actually help some others. And I think that there are a lot of people that could, take that to heart. The people
Yeah.
that are really super empathetic and take to the heart other people's opinions, especially care about the people that are close to them, around them.
Mhm.
I think that that's just a very unique answer to that question of how do you recover yourself, is help others recover. And
Mhm.
I think that, a portion of that is true about this entire podcast.
Right,
We
and not
are,
just during the holidays,
yeah,
not just
not
your
just,
Christmas and Thanksgiving
yeah,
or
exactly.
Hanukkah or whatever.
Not during the holiday season,
Yeah.
but year round. And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I think that's also one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast, is we're trying to help others. And this is also therapeutic for ourselves, I would imagine.
Mhm.
As we are kind of letting all this emotion out, and trying to communicate uh this wisdom that you guys have accumulated over your lifetimes to others, and to help others. And I just think that was a great microcosm of our entire podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that both Sharon and I feel a strong need to um, give people hope and give people ideas
Mhm.
so that we can all together try to help the health crisis and
Mhm.
the environmental crisis that is going on. And from a point of integrative medicine, both music and helping others, along with nature, exercise, et cetera, have all been proven to improve your health. There are
Mhm.
definitely studies for all of that. So it's intuitive, I think, for us to reach and do those things. But then, of course, science has to prove that there is a reason we do it. It's interesting that you said that the mountains, make you feel so small. And of course, that's what the universe does, but that they're so vast. But unfortunately, and I agree 100%. But I also feel that we finally realize that the earth is finite, and we can't
Mhm.
keep growing exponentially and taking from the earth, that it's reached its capacity, or almost has. And I know that that's definitely one of our goals of this podcast, is to talk about that, and discuss what we can do and perhaps frame differently our mindset about the earth, that it's not infinite. It's not there for our taking, but it's really, we're part of it. And if we
Yeah.
consider it like our leg, we need to take care of it like you would your leg, or that sort of thing. So
That's very right up my alleyway with renewable energy as opposed to fossil fuels, you know, in the same regard.
absolutely.
Here's something kind of interesting. I had lunch with Elon Musk a while ago, and we're approaching 8 billion people on our planet now, and he really does want to go to Mars. And I said, don't you think we should try to maintain what we have here and try to clean up our act and try to get our planet back before just screwing up something else, before we go through all the space junk and then put all of our crap on Mars? And he said, well, Mars is a real fixer-upper. And he said, Sharon, I don't think we're going to have a choice. I think we're going to have to expand to a different planet. Wow.
Wow.
Well, see, this is where I've been an Elon supporter for a while, but I don't agree necessarily with his take on that. I will say, though, however, that Elon is doing the most to combat climate change with Tesla. Tesla is doing the most, and you know, a lot of people think that Tesla is a car company. Tesla is not a car company. Tesla is a battery company, and they're going to be continue to drive energy storage through the roof, which is pretty much the most imperative part of the renewable energy transition is energy storage. And Tesla is leading that industry, and they're leading all forms of that, domestic manufacturing to EVs, which is electric vehicles, the actual cars, as well as the infrastructure for charging the EVs, as well as just actually putting together and composing these batteries at the gigafactories around the world. So although that I don't empirically agree with Elon on everything, he is one of these industry leaders that is fascinating to look at because he's doing the most to combat climate change. And
Exactly.
for that, I might give him a pass about his Mars inspirations.
Yeah,
but
that's
yes.
it's a very controversial statement that he made.
Mhm.
But also he founded Solar City. So he was really also one of the first people to really talk about using solar energy as a
Yeah.
renewable energy.
Right. I mean, it takes great minds like his to create change, right? And we're not going to get it right with every single idea, but the fact that we're even thinking in different directions is important. Yeah, I agree. I'd rather fix our earth here, but
As long as he's doing the fixing up and he's doing the Mars thing,
Exactly.
right.
but that
You don't have to do one
right.
or the other.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, right. It's not like he's given up on the earth yet.
No.
So
Yes,
good.
exactly.
No.
So with that, Sharon, I don't know if you're comfortable introducing who our first speaker
Sure.
will be with our next podcast. And I should mention that access will be on LinkedIn to start, and
As well as Facebook and Facebook as well.
Facebook. Okay, there we go.
And YouTube.
And YouTube, yeah. We'll start a LinkedIn page, and we'll provide the link through Facebook, and also we'll upload to YouTube as well. But all the information, like my mom was saying, LinkedIn will probably be the central location for it.
Yeah, and in addition, I will try to include, well, I will include references to anything we've talked about here in case people are more interested. For example, Solar City, although that's a pretty easy to Google thing, but some of the research that I mentioned and that sort of thing. But without further ado, who will be our first speaker, Sharon?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. There's an amazing, brilliant, passionate man named Andre Acosta. He was a friend of mine. There was a documentary made about his work called Sea of Shadows. So everybody should, I think it's on Netflix. Everybody should watch Sea of Shadows. Sea of Shadows is about Andre Acosta and his work. He's a CEO and founder of Earth League International. And he is putting all of himself and the people that he has carefully selected at risk on a daily basis to do some really critical things. One is to create a global entity that looks over our planet for climate change. So it's not just working with Latin America, United States, whatever, creating a consortium of countries to join together to make change happen. And that's a really big deal. And he's been very successful, and it's going to be an exciting interview. On top of that, he is continually fighting human trafficking and fighting the slaughtering of animals for their parts to send to different parts of the world. And I'm passionate about all these things. When I interview him, I'm exhausted by the end of it because he's done so much good for us so far, and there's so much more to do. And he would be the perfect person to ask, how are you doing with what you've done? How are you dealing with it today? And what do you see for hope in the future? So you can keep on making these changes. I think he's one of the top world changers that I've ever met and probably will ever meet. So he's excited about joining us in October. And that's going to be our first show. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Yes. The documentary is amazing. I've seen it actually twice, and actually it's on Netflix, and I've even saw it available on planes that I was on. So it's readily available, but their approach to animal conservation is a really unique one, but very effective. So it'll be fascinating to talk to him.
We'll find a lot of secrets out that are happening. Really fascinating. It's like a sci-fi thriller.
Yeah. Yeah. So we look forward to that. Now, I do want to finish with a quote from a very famous American biologist, E.O. Wilson. He unfortunately died last year. He's also he's actually supposed to be the world's leading authority on ants, but he was also very instrumental in the whole field of sociobiology, and just an amazing man. He really felt that we needed to make 1/3 of the earth natural in order for humans to survive, which is a huge goal. But he said, you are capable of more than you know. Choose a goal that seems right for you and strive to be the best, however hard the path. Aim high, behave honorably, prepare to be alone at times and to endure failure. Persist. The world needs all you can give. So I thought that was appropriate for what we are hoping to do with our podcast. And with that, I think we'll sign off for now till we meet Andreas, and see you both soon. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.